And the second point that we'd like to bring out here is that the altar, okay, gives structure to our faith. All right, so although the New Covenant altar is spiritual, it nonetheless has structure. Okay, it is this structure of truth that we're going to look at next. In 1 Kings chapter 18, verses 31 through 38, we see that Elijah took 12 stones and built an altar, which represented the 12 tribes of Israel as one. We can see Christ in these 12 stones when we understand that God gave structure to our faith through the 12 elements of the gospel, okay, which Christ embodies: grace, faith, righteousness, justification, sanctification, holiness, peace, rest, charity, truth, regeneration, and renewing of the mind. Okay, we're gonna be going through each of these individually as we progress through this video series. Okay, but these are the 12 elements of the gospel. Okay, Christ embodies these elements. And it is through this knowledge of Christ that we serve God with one mind and one heart. Okay, now it is God that has provided this language to us, okay, that we may serve Him with understanding. And so it's important for us to understand these things. That God has provided us with this knowledge so that we can serve Him. We can serve Him with this knowledge. Okay, and as we receive it from Him, so also do we reciprocate back to Him. Okay, by conforming our faith to these things that we received of Him. So it's essential to understand these things, and it's essential to have this foundation of truth, okay, this framework of knowledge set within the heart. Okay? It will give structure to your thinking, okay, and your understanding of the plan of God, okay, and what part of the plan that we're in, okay, as concerning the you know the dividing of the covenants, okay, understanding what's sanctified and what's not, understanding what's within Christ, and therefore understanding what's without Christ, okay, so that your faith can remain steadfast, okay, in the things of Christ, so that you can continue in Him, which is what we all want, right? We all want to continue in Christ so that we can please God. Well, as your faith is rooted in Christ, and this foundation of truth is established in your heart, and you serve God with sanctified faith, okay, there'll be absolutely no question in your heart as to whether or not you're pleasing God, because God Himself will provide a living and present witness to confirm Christ in your faith. Okay, and this is what is missing, okay, in the church. They're seeking that witness, and they seek it from one another quite often, okay, which is an abomination to God, because in doing so, they are, elevating man to the witness of God, and it's an offense to God. Okay, that they would seek something apart from God in place of God. It's the same thing with choosing things that are outside the covenant of Christ. It is saying to God with great offense that while you provided us this covenant of Jesus Christ and these sanctified tools, we prefer another set of knowledge and another set of tools, and we'll serve you with these, thank you very much. Well, God takes great offense to that. Okay, He provided Christ and Christ alone for our faith. Right? So it's very important that we understand what it is that He provided for our faith through Christ. Okay. So many try to follow Jesus without responsibility to His knowledge, expecting Him to carry their faith. Okay, we can see this illustrated in the famous poem "Footprints in the Sand." That although God empowers our faith when it is properly joined to the covenant, He had not intended to carry our faith in the absence of His knowledge. Okay, and are these elements, which are the stones of the altar of Christ, are they ordered by God, or are they randomly set? Well, let's go back and take a look at the Old Covenant altar again. Okay, we're going to see a pattern that God set for faith. So we know that when Israel came into the Promised Land, they inherited land, not randomly, but rather each tribe's place was assigned by God. Okay, each portion was set the boundaries for each tribe. Naphtali inherited the north, Simeon inherited the south, Gad in the east, and Ephraim in the west. Okay, well, how do we see Christ in this? As God set the boundaries for each tribe, so also God ascribed a set value to each element of the gospel. Right? The value is the design of Christ in each element. God set order to His knowledge and did not give random meaning to grace, faith, righteousness, justification. The established order of faith is what the Spirit confirms to empower faith. So constantly shifting the value of these elements throws faith into much confusion. For when the element no longer reflects the value that God gave it, it no longer gives structure to faith, and it no longer represents Jesus Christ. So the altar of the Lord has been broken down through the false knowledge of many false shepherds, and its structure no longer resembles Christ and his sacrifice. As a result, the church is no longer one in faith. Apostle John was reflecting on this transgression when he wrote, "Whosoever transgresses and abides not in the doctrine of Christ has not God. And he that abides in the doctrine of Christ, he has both the Father and the Son." You see this in 2 John chapter 1, verse 9. Okay, and this is when he's talking about that, having both the Father and the Son. Okay, he's talking about uh, the uh, the record and the witness for our faith. Okay, these things are together. It's the same as with the ark. Okay, the ark of the covenant and the mercy seat. Okay, they had to be together. Okay, the mercy seat had to be upon the ark, and what did the ark contain? Okay, the ark contained, all right, the tablets of stone. Okay, Aaron's rod that budded, and the manna, right? Okay, representing his government, his truth, and his spirit. Okay, the ark had to contain these things. Okay, and then the mercy seat had to be upon the ark. Okay, that's as the record and the witness of God. The mercy seat being the witness of God. Okay, when the record is complete, okay, and whole, God bears witness. And this is what takes place in the faith. This is why faith today is absence of this witness of God. Okay, that faith is not being made living by God. Therefore, people are trying to uh, they're trying to breathe life into the faith of the people on their own. Okay, and they do this through very many different methods that they try to do to drum up excitement and passion. Okay, um, but what they're trying to do is animate something that's inanimate. Okay, or in other words, it's like a cat playing with a dead mouse. All right, they smack it around and then pretend that it moved on its own, right? Because it makes it more interesting to them, but it's still dead, isn't it? Okay, the very fact that they have to make it move testifies against the fact that it's living, right? Well, it's the same thing. If you have to animate your faith, then your faith is not of God, right? Because God will breathe life into faith in Christ. Okay, we don't have to do that. God bears witness to faith in Christ because Jesus Christ is alive. And we have people that will say that He is risen, but what is their evidence of that? Well, when you're keeping covenant with God, your evidence of that is experienced daily because Christ is living in you and making living your faith. That's not a metaphor. It's not something that you think about and muse about. It's something you experience every single day. Right? Just as Jesus said, uh, I will manifest myself to them. Okay, he does that daily. Okay, so as each believer is again instructed in the doctrine of Christ through the oversight of apostles, each of the 12 elements of the gospel are being laid in order within the heart, bringing the church into one mind. Okay, one mind, one faith, one common experience of Christ working within the heart to bring about regeneration, healing. Okay, healing to the soul, healing to the bruised will for faith. Okay, that we are restored in our ability to function as priests, serving God with the spiritual priesthood. Okay, and it's through this that we experience the cleansing of the conscience. It's through this that we experience uh, uh, that the soul finds completion through Christ. Okay, that the soul is being made whole. Okay, so that which the soul seeks, that and longs for, okay, is being brought to completion. It's absolutely incredible, and this is why the apostles, okay, that we are sisters of your joy, okay, because it is through the stewardship of apostles, of living apostles, that this knowledge is being set within order, okay, and it's through your receipt of that ordered knowledge that you're able to approach God with wisdom and understanding. Okay, confidence, right? Knowing that which God has sanctified for your faith, so you can approach Him with all boldness. All right, and as you are coming near to Him with sanctified faith, serving Him in holiness, okay, serving Him in spirit and in truth, then your faith is being received by Him, and you know your faith is being received by Him. It's without question because He bears witness to Christ. Okay, and that's a very exciting thing to experience. It brings comfort to the soul. It brings it solidifies your faith. Okay, it roots your faith in Christ. Okay, which we're gonna study all of that in the element of grace, which is the first element that we're gonna address. And so let's get here to the third point. The altar must be made of whole stones. Okay. So in the Old Covenant, we see that the stones of the altar had to be whole in order for the altar to be accepted of God. So this means that the stones were not to be chiseled into a design by man's imagination. It will be from Deuteronomy 27, verse 6. Thou shalt build the altar of the Lord your God of whole stones, and thou shalt offer burnt offerings thereon unto the Lord your God. In Hosea 8, verse 31, as Moses, the servant of the Lord, commanded the children of Israel, and as it is written in the book of the law of Moses, an altar of whole stones, over in which no man has lifted up any iron, and they offered thereon burnt offerings unto the Lord, and sacrificed peace offerings. Okay? In the New Covenant, this pattern of building an altar with whole stones is fulfilled in Jesus Christ. The knowledge of Christ remains whole, meaning that nothing of man is added and nothing of Christ is missing. Okay? So the reflection of Christ is in the faithful, for they behold him in the pattern. Okay? But the faithless ones only see that which reflects their likeness, and they confirm the flesh, despising the spirit. Okay? So when those of faith, when the righteous, okay, are reading the scriptures, okay, they're reflecting upon this foundation knowledge, okay, which the scriptures confirm. The scriptures confirm Christ, okay, but apart from that foundation knowledge, the imagination directs the knowledge that you read in the scriptures, okay, in order to, based upon your own experiences. Okay, well, you're born into the kingdom of death. Your experiences are experiences of death. Okay, you have no familiarity with the kingdom of light. All right, and that knowledge of His kingdom is foreign to our first birth. Okay, we don't learn that through osmosis. Okay, it has to be taught to us. Okay? And God teaches us through knowledge stewards. This is how we receive this knowledge. So it's important for us to receive these whole stones, okay, through His stewardship. And as we receive them through His stewardship, right, we have to those have to be laid within the heart without being altered. Okay, now some people want to take the knowledge of Christ through His apostles, and then they want to tweak it, okay, to make it fit their way of thinking better. Okay, that's lifting an iron tool to the stone, okay, and putting their own image in it. God will not accept that. Okay, it will cause their faith to be reprobate. Okay, or they want to receive it and they want to add to it. Okay, they want to say, well, this is great, but it'd be even better with this. Okay, again, that would cause for a reprobate altar. So that which we receive has to be whole, and that which we receive is what's necessary for faith. Okay, nothing more, nothing less, because Christ in His fullness is complete and perfect. Okay, if you want your faith to be perfect, okay, which it must be to please God, then so also do you need to work with uh, with with the whole stones of the altar of Christ, that this foundation may be set within your heart. And this is what we are making freely available to people, and that we can assist them with this in their spiritual priesthood. And I'm going to go ahead and stop right there for now, and we'll pick up on this later. So let's see how that goes.